when they think of Cesar Milan, the dog whisperer. A man who could silence a pack of aggressive dogs with just his presence, who moved through chaos with the grace of a Zen master, who seemed to possess some kind of superhuman ability to fix even the most broken animals. But behind that calm was a storm. One so fierce, so personal, so consuming that it nearly ended his life. This isn't just a story about a dog trainer. It's a story about what it means to fall apart and rebuild, to lose everything and choose to rise anyway. Let's go back to where it all began. Cesar Felipe Milan Favela was born on August 27, 1969, in Culiacan, a city in the Mexican state of Sinaloa. But it wasn't the city lights that shaped him, it was the humble, sun-scorched countryside of Mazatlan, where his family moved shortly after. His father was a poor farmer. The family struggled to make ends meet, no fancy toys, no vacations, sometimes not even enough food. But there were always dogs. In his community, stray dogs roamed freely. Most people saw them as pests, rabid, aggressive, dangerous. But to young Cesar, they were something else entirely. He would walk among them, study their movements, mimic their behavior. He didn't try to dominate them. He understood them. He saw fear behind the growling, uncertainty behind the barking. He connected with them intuitively, wordlessly. And without knowing it, he was laying the groundwork for a philosophy that would one day change the world. Still, in Mexico, dog training wasn't seen as a real profession, especially not in a poor, working-class town. When Cesar told people he wanted to become the greatest dog trainer in the world, they laughed. "That's not a job," they'd say. "You need to be realistic." But Cesar was realistic. He knew that if he stayed, that dream would wither and die. So at just 21 years old, with only a few dollars in his pocket, no knowledge of English, and zero legal documentation, he made the dangerous decision to cross the U.S. Mexico border illegally. Not because he wanted an easy life, but because he wanted a chance, a shot at proving that his gift meant something. The journey was grueling. Crossing through the desert on foot, avoiding border patrol, and relying on strangers. He was terrified, alone, and yet determined. When he finally reached the United States, he arrived not to fanfare, but to homelessness. He slept under a freeway in San Diego, ate what he could find, worked odd jobs, washing cars, cleaning yards, whatever it took to survive. Eventually, he found work at a dog grooming shop in Los Angeles. He didn't speak the language, but the dogs didn't care. They responded to him in ways their owners had never seen. Word started to spread, "There's this guy," people would whisper, "he can calm any dog." It wasn't long before he started offering training sessions out of a beat-up van. That van became the start of the Dog Psychology Center, a space where troubled dogs could be rehabilitated and where Cesar would refine the techniques that would soon make him a star. He built his reputation the old-fashioned way, one dog, one client, one referral at a time. But then something shifted. Jada Pinkett Smith became one of his early clients. She saw not just his talent, but his potential. She helped him get English lessons, helped him network, helped him dream bigger. And in 2004, it happened. Dog Whisperer with Cesar Milan premiered on the National Geographic Channel. It exploded. Viewers were amazed by what they saw. Cesar wasn't just correcting dogs, he was transforming them. Dogs with violent histories, trauma, anxiety were walking calmly beside him in a matter of minutes. But what really set him apart wasn't just the transformation of the dogs, it was the transformation of the owners. Cesar preached one thing over and over: "I rehabilitate dogs, but I train people." He introduced new vocabulary into the mainstream: pack energy, calm assertiveness, red zone behavior. He became a best-selling author, a global brand, a household name. Tours sold out. Celebrities lined up to work with him. Oprah called him one of her favorite guests. He was at the height of fame. The undocumented immigrant with nothing had become the most recognized dog behaviorist in the world. But what the world didn't see was what was happening behind the fame. Cesar's marriage was falling apart. The success that had lifted him up had also created cracks in his personal life. The endless work, the travel, the pressure to always be the dog whisperer, it was straining his relationship with his wife, Illusion. In 2010, after 16 years of marriage, she filed for divorce. The process was painful, public, and financially devastating. He lost millions. But even worse, he felt like he lost his foundation, his family, his identity, his sense of self. And that was just the beginning of the unraveling. That same year, his beloved pit bull, Daddy, the dog who had stood by him through every major moment of his journey, passed away from cancer. Daddy wasn't just a pet. He was a partner, a co-therapist, a symbol of everything Cesar stood for. Losing him was like losing a part of his soul. In May of 2010, overwhelmed by grief, betrayal, isolation, and a deep, gnawing sense of failure, Cesar made the decision to end his life. He took a bottle of sleeping pills. Wrote letters to his sons. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He felt nothing. Just emptiness. But fate had other plans. He woke up in a hospital bed, groggy, confused, alive. And in that moment, that quiet, heavy, guilt-ridden moment, he realized something that would change him forever. He hadn't been living, he'd been performing. Performing as the strong man. The pack leader. The guy who had all the answers. But inside, he was lost. And now he had a choice: go back to pretending, or start doing the real work of healing. Cesar chose the hard path. He entered rehab, not for substance abuse, but for emotional trauma, depression, and unresolved grief. He started therapy. He learned how to cry. How to feel. How to speak to the parts of himself he had ignored for years, the scared little boy from Sinaloa, the young man who crossed the border with nothing but hope, the broken father, the grieving friend. He meditated. He journaled. He walked in nature. And for the first time in his adult life, he allowed himself to be led, not by success, not by ego, but by truth. And that's when the healing truly began. Cesar slowly rebuilt his relationships with his children. He apologized for his emotional absence. He made time, not just for them, but for himself. He took care of his mental health the same way he had cared for thousands of dogs, with patience, empathy, and structure. And as he returned to the world, it was with a new mission. He launched Better Human, Better Dog, a show that didn't just focus on dog behavior, but on human behavior. Because he now understood something deeply: the way we treat our dogs is often a reflection of how we treat ourselves. If we are anxious, our dogs become anxious. If we are chaotic, they mirror that chaos. If we are disconnected from ourselves, our pets will reflect that too. Cesar's message evolved. Training a dog is never just about the dog, it's about healing the human. Today, he speaks openly about his mental health journey. About the suicide attempt. About the pain. Because he knows someone out there is feeling the same way, and he wants them to know, you're not broken. You're human. Cesar Milan's story is not a success story, it's a resilience story. It's not about dogs. It's about redemption. About walking through fire and emerging, not unscathed, but stronger, softer, wiser. So when you see him now, calmly walking a group of dogs, smiling, confident, know this: that calm wasn't born. It was forged. In pain. In darkness. In the decision, every single day, to keep going. Because healing is the most courageous act of all. If this story spoke to something inside you, show it. Tap the like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, real stories, raw stories, stories that don't just entertain but transform. Hit that subscribe button.